And we good. So, what do we want to talk with the first one? You were talking about like what do we think of the game or the vision, I guess, sort of.
Yeah, we could start with it. I think that's a pretty decent starting point.
So, like, we'll fight over if the vision is good or and stuff like this.
So true. I mean, I don't think there's much to fight over. It's just bad. There's nothing like
I
I don't
mean,
think anyone. Yeah, there's like a solid core is what I would say, but everything else is just really, really bad.
yeah, I mean, you have people disagreeing over the fact. I mean, saying that the vision is bad, but I don't think it's in itself the vision is bad. It's just that the execution is very lackluster. A lot of stuff missing, and on some stuff they do miss the point entirely. Even devs themselves didn't actually did stuff for the vision. First example of that is communication. Like we are supposed to like cooperate profoundly and stuff like this, and we are
Yeah, but
just using
that's also
Discord.
yeah, it's also part of the vision, the expectation that like the people can like there's always some limitations in game development and like game design, but if you're like going to the idea that everything has to be done by players, like we can have like a walkthrough or a tutorial with like AI people or like a campaign type, single player campaign or something like that. The idea that players is just gonna be there all the time and you're gonna have the same consistent experience is kind of wild to think of. Like at best, the AI that we have is just really there to augment the stuff and not really.
I mean,
Let's just yeah, they're not really there to replace a person, which is
I
kind of
I,
weird.
wa- I wasn't there at the start of the game, but my understanding is the AI is not part of the vision. It just ended up being a need for the game to be functional, because otherwise, with all the time zone difference and stuff, you end up having a very frustrating experience if even the most basic stuff can be defended against against everyone that is not playing on your time zone. Like, if there was no AI at all, nothing is preventing you, someone on the ocean time zone, to just log and go destroy completely the backlines, because well, it will take him some time, but unless people see it, no one will prevent him doing that if there is no AI, which is terrible for the game.
Yeah,
uh,
but the problem is like AI isn't really where we or they really want it to be at the moment because it's really simplified. It's like it has like a ton of holes in it. Like I mean, I'm pretty sure we can make AI better. It's not that hard in the long term, but you're not gonna replace actual people, and that's like you have to have counterbalances for people not being there because like you can't expect AI to do everything, and that's fine. That's the part of the thing that we're dealing with.
Yes, but the thing is often we have the issue of having to try to get the good point for the AI, because even when you look at the build meta right now, you have a build meta that clearly focus on having the best AA coverage or stuff like this, rather than providing the best defense possible for anyone that will come fight here. And that's something that you can't really fix as long as you have an AI that needs to be good enough to face like an average force or an average push. Like right now, the AI is not just a mean of defense. It's like when you're not there, it's the main mean of defense of both faction. Like without the AI, we kinda consider that a place can't really be held, even if there is active defenders or stuff like this, which is sort of an issue, because at the same time, that AI that we consider strong enough and to be stronger than active defenders is still not strong enough to face most PvE and stuff like this, because it can be bypassed by cheeses and stuff like this.
Yeah, and that's like the problem with the design aspects. Like I know what they're going for, which is like people are the focus here. People are like manpower is like what's going to driving the narrative, and AI isn't like that impactful. But the problem is like people aren't consistent, and unless we like actually think about AI and how people and how like absence of people are going to like impact the game, which they haven't actually they put any thought in, which is like my problem with the vision. It just considers you're gonna have like a 5,000 people playing, which is like kind of weird for MMO. It's just like a game where you have like, or like a project where you have like minimum set amount of people just to uh, that need to be logging on and just working on stuff to run everything and have a streamlined process. So in that context, the fact you're like not even thinking about AI automation or AI or automation or anything like that is just weird for for a company like this.
I mean, automation is another topic because AI, as I said earlier, is kind of needed to prevent everything to disappear when you're not here, because you know that after you, if you're NA, if you play on NA time zone, after you there will be like a big drop of pop. That's usually what is called low pop. uh, so you need to have something, so when you log on tomorrow because you're not putting all-nighter shifts on the game or anything like this, you need to have a guarantee that you will still kind of be able to play. It's a need. However, for automation, even if some people would disagree with this, it's less problematic of having your facility not running 24/7 rather than the place not being defended 24/7. In one end, you have nothing left if it's not defended. On the other, you still have your facility, it just didn't produce as much as you want. But that's also kind of why the devs try to push the public facility stuff. They didn't really push it, but that's kind of the vision. So people can take shift over running the facility, even if they are randoms and that they are not from your regiment or stuff like this. I think that automation is not exactly the same issue with AI, even so it is if you purely look from production optimization and production perspective. But it doesn't cause the same issue if there is no automation compared to that if there is no AI.
Its automation is like a part. The main problem is how you're designing the AI. Because again, this is everything that people are considering is like with manpower. If you have manpower, you can put in this X amount of work and X Y amount of output will be generated. Now, for a project like this, where you need to have a minimum of something, how you can I don't think we have done any math or any numbers on what that minimum is either. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think anyone has at this point, but yeah, yeah. So we're just balling it. I like, literally eyeballing it at this point. So for that cases, you have to consider what if you don't have manpower, which is like we're talking about AI, right? It's that's I mean automation is like a part of it, but like yeah, the main focus is right now is on the AI systems. And what if in the absence of manpower, how is that going to substitute for that for fill in for that for those gaps, which is which the direction just doesn't even consider, and it's really been a problem for multiple years for some reason. Like it should be obvious. This is like a project with like multiple people. Of obviously, like it's been going on for like 10 years. Like yeah, yeah, 10 years, of course, and the fact that people they haven't like the devs and the designers have just not even thought about what happens to this product if there's like not enough manpower. It's just weird.
I mean, I don't think that it's really that they don't know what happened. It's just that they didn't decide it. What happened? I mean, I don't think they ever envisioned the game when and try to put number on what's expected of, for example, a front line. Like, even if they say that it's sandbox and stuff like this, you I still think that they should have a goal of what the average frontline look like. Like how many, what's the split on Logi infantry tanks on the front line. Now with the ships, or often a large ship is supposed to come for like shoreline bombardments and stuff like this, because when you start to figure out all those numbers, you can kind of scale them one way or another for high pop and low pop, and that allows you to see how many people are actually needed for your game to be considered as healthy. Like you were talking about the when you lack manpower. If you look at a backline region, and then you start to decide, I mean not assume but hope that, for example, not facilities, factories are balanced around the fact that there will always be someone cooking at them, at least one queue of each. Like in a refinery, you expect like 50 people cooking in it on average. A field, you expect like 5 or 10 people farming one when it respawns. That kind of gives you a scale of how many people to expect per map, per faction overall across the day. And the thing is, if you do have that average defined, and that you see that some time zones are very far from that, to the point where some stuff is not working properly. For example, you could see that on Asia time zone, since it's still more low pop than European and American, that you don't have enough farmers, so the fields are barely farmed during that time zone, which does mean that the production is altered or slowed. uh, you could, yeah, you could realize that you do have an issue with how the game works around that time. But I don't think that they ever, yeah, as you said, I don't think that they ever take a time to like paint the scenery of what the game is supposed to look like around that or that gameplay loop, and how many
They just
people are supposed to be called like, for this.
they just didn't do the numbers. They have to like go back and look at yes, we need X, like actual fucking values. Like you need to do the math for this. We need to like expect some like 10, 20 people doing this. We need to expect 20, 20 like 50 people on front line. We need to make our logistics like so that like 10 people can supply the 50 people on the front line. But like this is the problem for like multiple years. Like you're just pushing updates out and you're just pushing stuff out, but you're not doing the math around it. You're not doing like the basic logic around it. You're just like solving stuff out, and then like, oh, the players are gonna figure it out. The players can just coordinate amongst them. So like it's very odd for a MMO company to be run like this. Like I don't think I've seen any other MMOs like at least even like for Eve and stuff. They have an economy and stuff. They have to like do the math for it. There's always some calculations. There's always some math. There's always some decisions that you have to make. And here it's like, oh, the players will just have stuff out, and players can just figure it out.
I mean, I do think that they run some basic maths. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the things like the field respawn scaling with the pop. Like when there is more pop, the field respawns faster. But yeah, I don't think they did it for everything in the game, nor that they really forced it into the design. It's just that they needed a value. They thought a bit about it, but they didn't really uh, delve into it.
It's
Uh,
like the problem with most of the game. They just get a value out of their ass and they're like, yeah, this is good enough. Fuck it. We'll just run this value for like 3 words, see what happens.
Yeah,
Just change the fucking.
the pop double, so the respawn timer double too. I mean, is divided by two. But you thought about if, but all those, because I think that if pop is not constant. I know you played a bit about it. I think you played if a bit. How do they manage some periods where there is less pops? It just changes economy and it adapts accordingly, or is there some mechanics that boost how many how fast you farm or stuff like this?
I mean, it's at the moment it's like really early development, and so like there's not much thing they can do other than just tell people, "Hey guys, don't overstack one side. We need like people on both sides." Which I mean, honestly, they should do for Foxhole, but I think it's like people are. I think people have pointed it out rightly, and if you ask like a big group like ADUDK and you tell them, "Hey guys, you're too big for this faction. You need to like split up." That's gonna be pissing some people off. Like Anvil, it doesn't really matter because like it's a new game. People are just trying, testing
No,
shit for
no, no.
fun.
Sorry, I was talking about Eve. Eve, not Anvil. Eve.
Oh, oh,
Eve Online. Yeah, sorry. I was confused a bit.
oh yeah. Sorry, I was. I mean, you haven't played a lot of Eve exactly to comment on like a bunch of stuff, but it's not the same as like the problem with Eve is like you don't have to focus on a war. In like Foxhole, where the war is only thing that matters. Like if you lose, if you
Yeah, so
play, you have to like contribute the war.
there is no scaling at all. Like the resource is always the same.
Yes
Or
and
okay,
no. Yes and no. Because yes, you can like get resources by doing your own thing and just mining stuff and PvP and PvE and all that funny stuff.
yeah, yeah.
But if you want like for a macro scale, it's not like um you can just. I mean, there's always going to be a pay to play aspect. It's fucking Eve. Let's be real. You can
Yeah,
just buy it.
but the yield for the global game doesn't change based on the fact that there is
Yeah,
more or less player.
yeah, I guess because like again, the war isn't like that impactful for players to. I mean, it is pretty big for people who do give a fuck about it, but without that, it's like it's not that in like that. It's not like the main focus out here. The main focus is the
Yeah,
economy and the player base and all that. The
yeah. Basically,
war,
the main
the
focus is people
macro.
are playing.
Yeah, yeah, because people are playing. The
Yeah, okay.
macro, you don't really care about the macro stuff of is this faction winning? Is this cooperation gonna win? They just wanna
Yes.
like people
So you don't need
have
to balance the resource or stuff like this. Because that's also part of the reason why Foxhole is having a dynamic change over this. Because I remember in the past, a component was like respawning in 8 hours. I know that now during IPOP it's like 2 hours, and I guess that the main issue is just that some people do want to farm components for doing their own stuff, because we have issues with pooling and cooperating and sharing and stuff like this. So it's an issue if some players are not able to farm components because it respawns only 3 times per day otherwise. And yeah, more people consume more, but like they are not changing how much a field produces. They are only changing how fast it respawns. And I think that the primary goal of that is not to offer more components, it's just to offer component component more often, so everyone can have a chance of farming components. But isn't it due, as always, due to the fact that the vision kinda try to protect every kind of players, including casuals, so they are able to do a bit of everything, which is an issue for balancing overall. Because yes, a small player a solo player needs to be able to farm component and do their own stuff, but that's not something that would happen if they are in T3CX, because T3C just have more manpower, more efficient, will do stuff more efficiently, and they would lock that solo player out of the gameplay loop, even if it's for their own good from an economy point of view. But yeah, Foxhole tried to offer any gameplay to everyone, which could be seen as an issue, I guess. Don't know what's your opinion on that.
I don't think it's much of an issue, assuming like in an ideal world where you have enough stuff to do everything, and the people who do want to give a fuck about the war can just go ahead and do that. The problem is like again, it's back to numbers. You're not counting for people who just want to have fun. You're not counting for people who just want to play to actually win the fucking war and end the cycle, I guess. Because every war is like a 40-day uh era. Fuck it, I can't find a word for it. 40-day era, right? Like a war goes for like 50, 60 days. That's it.
Mm.
You can't. The progression that stops right there once it ends. Like everything you did, that's it.
Yes, but that's also another part of the issue is they are linked, but like you play
Yeah, but like
Foxhole to win the war or to have fun or to try to balance both. The thing
doesn't
is,
have
some
to be linked if you do the numbers, because like you can have it such that people who want to play the I mean the current issue is like my main complaint with Foxhole is like for like ever is like the people who want to win can just put like 50 like 10 hours a fucking day, and people who can't put that because they have like an actual job or like actual obligations are just fucking shafted. It doesn't even matter how much pop you have. I mean, pop is a big factor, but I'll come back to that later. But if you put like 50, 60, like 10, 20, 50, 60 hours a week, which is crazy for any game, you're just having a much better advantage than people who are putting 10, 20 hours. And that's not a bad thing. I don't know. I think you should like that's advantage should be there to some degree. I just don't like how big the gap is for people who just want to like have fun, to play contribute, and to those like people who just want to win the war, contribute to the fucking win rate and stuff. You know?
I mean, you could try to change that so that a player that plays a lot just have an additive impact compared to right now where it's kind of multiplicative because you can like parallelize what you're doing and do them one after another, and so you also have yeah it's not exactly linear, and that's part of the issue, uh, which is why we've seen that at the end of the day, the stuff that is the less affected by the least affected by how much amount you're able to put into the game are basically contents that are time locked or that have that are of a small scale, like doing 1 hour of infantry or 10 hours of infantry. It will change the impact that you will have on the manpower because you will basically count for 10 players that play 1 hour. But when you start to look at logi, it's not always true because you can do stuff in 2 hours that you count in two time 1 hour due to the fact that, for example, the cooking, the MPFs, stuff like this. Like if you play 10 times a day, you can set 2 MPF queues. If you play 1 hour a day, you can put only one, and yeah, you won't be able to put a second one. I'm not sure if you see what I try to mean, but that's part of the issue with
Yeah, I
players
know, I
being
know.
able to play a lot. Is that besides purely the time coverage that they'll have, some tasks will just scale exponentially because they played a lot, and that's part of the issue of players that are able to play a lot, especially for building, for example. That's also true for building
I mean,
because
true for a lot of things. Like we are not even considering the like alt accounts and like bots and all that funny stuff. Like
yeah, yeah.
this is just players. We just not even like we're not even going into deep diving into like all the stuff you can do like after you have the time and the manpower. You can have like all so you can have like fucking multi boxing like 5 different accounts farming like it's crazy. It's for the timing and the fucking. I guess it's and the money you can just put into it, right?
I
You
mean,
know.
yeah. The alts on auto clickers camping the mines. They are not even playing, but they count more than some players that would be active and stuff like this. Uh,
Yeah, I think that's another point we have to like talk about is how much stuff like Foxhole is just not very interactive. Like, building is not fucking interactive at all. You just press one mouse and just have a YouTube video like in the background. Logi is also like about the same. Like
I mean,
a lot of like core around that Foxhole is just not very engaging.
Logi is that there is only certain loops that are not interactive, like factory cooking or just like gathering the materials and as soon as you have a small train setup. But the thing is, when you look at the alternative, which would be, for example, let's make the factory more interactive with more small, let's say, mini games. Like more, yeah, more interactive, more actions to do. I'm not sure that players would like it either because they would see it as a they would see as something that is boring but easy, as something that is no more time intensive, and that requires like brain power to do. You can't do it at the same time as other things. And I think that's part of the reason why some players like to do Logi, because the fact that it's chill, because you don't have much to do, very simple tasks that you can, and you can, yeah, watch a movie at the same time. That's part of the reasons I kind of enjoy it. Like you can yap, you can discuss. Like no, you imagine if you had a minigame when you need to like create the rifles or something like this, something dumb like this. I'm not sure that it would really work better. It would work better for the balance of the game, but not really for the player experience, I think. Unless,
Yeah, I mean, not even
un-
full. It's like I mean, Clash of Clans versus Clash Royale like leveling system. Like when you upgrade a fucking building in Clash of Clans, it takes like a year and a half without like spending gems, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so in the same vein, like when you put like uh MPSQ, it takes it like a half a day or something like that, right?
Mm, yeah.
So while it's not very interactive, you can be just like press two buttons and get done with your day, and which is I think fine for some
Yeah,
section of the game, right?
I mean, MPF, besides the issues that it causes that are another topic, is kind of fine from a gameplay perspective because it's time gated. You don't have much to do, and once it's done, it's done. When I was talking about there is not much gameplay in Logi, I was more, yeah, talking about factory cooking. That is something that is like a 5 minute loop at best, and it's basically do something, place 30 seconds, wait 5 minutes, play 30 seconds, wait 5 minutes, which is also most of the farming. And the thing is, unless you like switch the ratio between playtime and resource gathered, and so you have something that is like you have to play for 2 minutes, but you get as much resources as you were able to get in 10 minutes before.
And we had this
Uh,
situation, Kov. We had this exact same thing in like 100 when they added 5x everything. Like the resources were plentiful. We just had to like move them around, and that was the gameplay. If you can remember when like
no, I
112.
didn't play that war. That was the war where I
These
was working.
these disaster! I cannot believe you missed that war.
I mean, I'm not sure I missed it because I'm usually very annoyed by spam. And from what I got and the few pictures I saw, that was a war where basically everything was worthless, and that's why some people liked it, because you were able to do very dumb stuff, and it had very little consequences, which is
Yes, but
not especially bad, but it's also bad when you consider that the enemy can do the same to you, and that start to get annoying in some ways, because yes, they died like idiots with their tank. You kill them, but yeah, that kill is worthless, and it's just frustrating because I mean there was complaint in the past about ISG when it was costing BMATs, and the fact that when you killed one, another one was able to pop right after because yeah, it costed nothing. And I kind of see it as the same. Like that's my issue with the spam. It's not that it looks bad, even if it does most of the time. It's just that everything is like worthless, and you don't get rewarded for preventing your opponent of doing stuff. And basically, the reward is only for when you do stuff. Because yeah, you will suicide 10 tanks to do something, and when you will succeed the 10th times because they fail to counter you for whatever reason, you will be the only one getting a reward. And the ones that the people that prevented you the 9 previous time didn't get that much.
I agree with you in some respects, but I think that the problem for that is just the economy in general. But I will say what most of us liked about the 5x4 is like you didn't have to like camp a fucking comp mine or just grind away a fucking scrap
Mm.
field to get the stuff.
Yeah, the
All
grind
the
was
only
better. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, let me finish. The only thing that you needed to do logic wise is just optimize and move stuff, which is really what the core of logistics should be if you think about it. You aren't like hunter gathering stuff is fine for a mechanic perspective. You know, Minecraft does it. A lot of games do it. And it's not. It's fucking Rust does it too. It's not terrible for the way you gather materials and stuff and have to refine them. It's like not my concern right now, but the problem is when you're like spending an hour or like a 30 minutes on just camping a comp mine, which is crazy if you think about it for just
Mm.
getting the resources, right? So in that context, when you don't need to like spend a lot of time getting the raw resources, and you can just focus all your effort in moving them around. That's I think when Logi really shines, and how people can like think about optimizing the workflows and think about how to make the make the front line back line to front line delivery smoother, more streamlined. That's like the fun parts of Logi, right? People who just want to like have drive trains around. People just want to have like drive trucks around without like doing stuff like grinding away at a field for like 6 hours a day. You know?
Yeah, I get that point. The thing is that there is always a small issue like that. Is like you do that, you just grab what you need when you need it. It's effortless, and you can focus on other stuff. The thing is, if someone wants to do differently and grind as much as before, it gets a very big advantage. Let's take the 5 comp as an example again. Let's say that you just want to start to build a tank. The comp is overflowing. You can get it from anywhere. You find a source. You take what you need, and you're done. You just refine it, and that's it. The thing is, before you needed to farm a bit to get it, and it took you like let's say 1 hour. It's a bit big for 10, but I think that might be it. I need to check. But yeah, it takes you 1 hour. In the 5 comp is overflowing. It takes you like 5 minutes because you just have to source your component basically to find a way to get it. But the man that will continue to like farm for 1 hour, he will be able to just like produce a lot of tanks with that same component, and that will just create a balance issue. Uh,
Yeah, I
because
agree. I
so
totally
the thing
agree.
I do get the comfort, why people might like that aspect of I don't need to grind to get it. But the thing is, if some people will continue to grind, and there will always be some, that's those people that are causing the issue. I mean, it's basically what I was talking a bit like earlier. Like you have solo players that will live their game experience one way, and then you will have clans with a lot more manpower that will do differently and will be able most of the time to kind of break the game due to that. Because if they play like a solo player, they do it additively, but they do have another other advantage, coordination, and it becomes multiplicative. Uh, so I guess a good compromise for that would be to have like no one farms anymore in the game, and you just have everything like spawning resource wise. But then you would have the split issue. Like some people would just take everything if it's limited, to
Yeah, I
balance
think
it.
it's a very complex question that we have to answer because I think, like I said, the logistics part should be the focus, not like the resource grind part, which is I think a lot of people want. But also, we don't want efforts to be multiplicative and just like go on exponentially with how much pop and how much time you put in. So that's gonna be a constraint. And finally, we don't want stuff to be spammed a lot because it's not really fun for any anyone to just fight like 10 tanks, 10 fucking planes. At some point, it's going to be boring. And I think late game is kind of, personally, it's a bit boring because you just fight the same things over and over and over, and it's just waves of them. So the ideal world is like where we balance all three things. We make efforts additive, not multiplicative, and so you don't have snowballs of stuff that's
Mm.
like big plans to snowballing stuff, and it just snowballs into like huge stockpiles, and randoms can just never catch up. So that has to be considered. We make resource gathering less of a chore, so like you're not fucking sitting on a field or on a comp field for like 6 hours a day, just getting the stuff you want to begin with. And we need to make stuff that is like, it's not, I don't want to like put scarcity, but I don't want to fight like lines of stuff, like
Yeah.
that's like the
Mm.
balance we need to find at some point. And that's like the devs that's like the thing that devs need to like actually sit down and have a talk with them and brainstorm, like how do we do this, how do we have a system that does all this and combines the best aspects of what we have right now.
I mean, just for resources, so there isn't much options because when you think about it, if you take the mines right now and let's say you remove their requirements for like diesel, petrol, and so they run all the time, you would still have a camping issues. Like people would still come the mine, and that's part of the issue. Is like if you want to everyone in Foxhole to be able to to gather resources, you have to put away so that people you basically have to farm them. That's kind of the only option because let's say that if you just put every hour you fill the support with 30 crate of every materials, basic materials, you just have people sniping them and taking all of them. And so
Yeah, I mean that's what I said. They need to like sit down and like I don't think this system is gonna be like what we want out of this system is just not gonna be possible from what they have built for now. I think logic can be reworked. We just need to have like a proper brainstorming session. Like people need to get together, think about how to make it better without like sacrificing a lot in one. Like
yeah, but
we just
there
don't
will
want
need
to.
to be sacrifices. You will have to sacrifice someone at some point, and that will be either player time because they need to farm them to give them a chance, or it will be availability. And so basically, they're like you have to accept by design that some people will never get those resources. But then you need to work on the cooperative cooperation aspect of Foxhole. Okay, some player will never be able to have components. It's not a big issue because now there is no gameplay associated with it. So who wants to bother with clicking gameplay? Like retrieval gameplay. But they need to be able to get the products at least. And so how do you force that by design? A good compromise would be to remove private stuff, for example. So everything that is farmed is basically pooled among the faction, and so you can't really farm a tank and store the tank without giving it to the faction. But it also does cause other issues due to the fact that not everyone can play 10 hours and do everything from
Yeah,
the start to
yeah,
finish.
I think. issue with that is accountability. I don't think public stockpiles is really a bad thing in practice. I mean, in theory, in on paper, it's not a bad thing. But the problem is like when people just take stuff and there's like no accountability in their organization. Like, how are you gonna like actually take account for what people are gonna do? Because they're gonna be like, "Hey, I have a right to do this as well as you guys," and that's true for a game
Yes,
perspective.
mm, I mean it's true, and the second part is also like okay, let's say that due to how the resource split was determined, you basically produce 1,000 tank per faction per day. That's basically what the resource allows you to get. What do you do if you log in too late and there is no more tank left? Because you have a shitty time zone or because something happened. That's also the second part that goes with accountability is like you can't really plan stuff because if you can't store anything, you can't really prepare for later, and so you always have to compose with what's available at that moment, which might not be what you wanted to do. And that's also the other part of that issue is like it's not only that some people will be bad with stuff and will lose them in stupid moves or stupid actions, but it's also that the fact that even if everyone plays well, stuff is supposed to die at some point, and maybe you would have like attritions situation where like the enemy pulled something that consumed a lot of tanks, and the result for the players that come is that they can't play tanks for another 10 hours because tanks need to respawn. And so basically based on the balance of the game, if it's something that is kind of rare, not very available, and that might just disappear because it's supposed to disappear at some point, killed on the front, yeah, you'd be locked out of some gameplay loops likely, unless you do the inverse of scarcity over abundance of stuff. But we are kind of back to square one, maybe a bit better, but it does have some issues too.
mean, I like to say it is like if we think about something like really, really hard and like have a really big brainstorming session with like a lot of people and see what they can come up with, we can have like an optimal solution to the things that we want. And hopefully we get to implement that exactly and it works out all well. But maybe it is not like an optimal solution. It's too early to tell. I think there's also a way to like do like change everything around the game to be like not indirectly touching logistics, but everything like touching everything else first. Like the reason to make stuff. If you like attack that, I think that would be a pretty decent way to stop like a major bunch of these issues that we've been considering. Like if you if you don't need 10 tanks, if you don't need 20 pieces of artillery, if you don't need like a blob of infantry, I think that might just work. But we have to like they have to do the numbers for it. We have to like actually build a framework around it to see if that works or not. I think a lot of this game is just I don't really blame the devs for it because like you can't really expect what players are gonna do. Like as a developer, you're just not gonna think of the fucking half the whack shit the community is gonna pull, like arcing to 50s over. Like how do you even think about that like as a developer? And like I think it's a lot of it's gonna be coming down to trial and error, but I think it's worth a shot than what we have right now, is my opinion.
I mean, there is no optimal solution anyway. Like because every solution might be the best solution, but for a certain vision of the game, Like we were talking about something that is not that elitist and that allows a player to play everything, but that's not the vision that some have of the game. That's not exactly the vision that devs have of the game. And yeah, the thing is, players need to agree on a vision first before trying to find a system that
It's
fits it.
I think it's less about players agreeing and more about devs agreeing. Because
No,
I don't
no,
think the devs are like not really sure what they want to do.
yeah,
Like if
yeah,
you want
but
to have milsim like Arma, just tell the people, hey, this game is a milsim. That's like what we want to make. Just have clans, just have regiments that like talk to each other,
mm,
like coordinate with each other. And we don't really want to encourage that solo type gameplay that people who do get to do what they want to do.
I mean, yeah, I do agree that if devs were saying that we want the game to be that vision, it would help some people to brainstorm stuff for the feedback and others. Um, and they do that a bit. The thing is, you still have people that will disagree with the vision. Like right now, we kinda can understand the vision that devs envision, based on what they said during dev stream, especially around airborne. Like we know, for example, that they don't want air gameplay to be simulations. It's simplified and it's like they try to 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 make it possible into Foxhole, but it's not air simulation. We know that part of the design of the air, from what they said and from what we can understand, is very based on the fact that players will have to do every part and that airs counters air. Sorry, air counters air. We saw that with the fighter design. The fighter design is supposed to yeah, like the fighter is the air QRF and the others are just solutions to help a bit. But we that's why we don't have any AAAI and stuff like this, because they want by design that air is countered by air and not much by ground or water, which is another issue. We know also by design during what they say into airborne and during what they say during for the build change that they tend to limit skill expressions. They tend to really put everyone into that a cog in the big war machine sentiment, and from that we can deduce that the skills that are able to be displayed in Foxhole will be commanding, planning, leading people, social skill or organizational skill most of the time, not how many APM you can have or how good can you move. Even so, the understanding of the game and of the battlefield can help a bit. The only thing that I mean, right now, the only thing where you can kinda express your skill in Foxhole is the air gameplay, because most of the time it's 1v1 uh, or multiple 1v1 going side to side, and yeah, that might be that's all the only part where you can kinda shine by yourself in the game right now. Otherwise you will shine because you are leading a squad or stuff like this. But even with those aspects of the vision, even if they are pretty easy to figure out, people are disagreeing. And you will have people saying that, yeah, Foxhole should allow you to express your skill because that's important in the game. And right now it doesn't enough. Like people complaining about the fact that shadow dancing was removed, for example. That's part of the reason why they don't like the change. And otherwise they just like say yeah, but I should be able to do everyone and everything in the game by myself. They'll still disagree with it, like, so uh, even if they say it like very clearly, I'm not sure that every people would agree with the vision the devs have for the game, and would just say your vision is shit and mine is better, the game should be like this instead.
I think that's fine though, personally, because like a game for everyone is a game for no one. I think that's been said multiple times for different games at this point. So my point is like you're never gonna please everyone. Whatever design you're gonna do is
Mm,
gonna piss some section off. Like that's obvious. I don't think anyone can debate this exactly. So like at the least you can do is like what you can just be clear on what product you want to make, and like stop fence sitting. Because I think the biggest problem is like these fucking devs are fence sitters, man. They don't know if they want to cater to the casual people. They don't know if they want to cater to the simulation people who like want to have a war sim. They don't know if they want to cater to the regimental people who just want to have a big group and have fun together. It's all over the place for these guys. They have no idea what audience they want to grab, and which is that's like a really big issue because we have a lot of people from all over the place who think, hey, this is how Foxhole needs to be run. This is how Foxhole needs to go in the future, and that's why a lot of community discourse is coming up right now. And that's like it's gotten so bad. We have like communities for Charlie, which is like, oh, this is like a less try hard server, chill server, and we have Able, which is like, you must follow meta or you will be fucking shot. With executions. It's stupid. Like at least just have a consistent vision. Like I'm not gonna go to Arma and say, oh, why can't I be a battlefield player? Why is this not Call of Duty? Why can't I have go on a kill streak and call in a drone strike? Because that's just what you see on the box. It's armor. You play for the communications. You play for the simulation. Like, I'm not gonna go to Call of Duty and tell people, "Hey guys, we need to work as a fucking team. We need to play the objective, man. We need to fucking plant the bomb." Because that's not why people play Call of Duty. That's like not the audience people are. Yeah, like that's not the audience we are going for. Like you're expecting a mass market game for what you're marketing to millions of people, but you don't really know which people you really want to focus on. And that's why we have communication systems which don't really like help the larger groups and regiments. We have solos which you can't really play a lot of the game without putting a huge amount of time. Don't we have people complaining about skill because they want to like have their own last stands and like cool medal of honor moments, like fighting off impossible odds or just having a really good rush of dopamine for doing something good. And like that's like the problem. If that's like be clear, like, hey, we want to be a cog in the machine, that's fine. But that's like the game we are making. Everyone's a cog in the machine. There's no skill expression. We just want to like you need to like have a clan regimental gameplay. You need to like focus on these things. This is not what we're going to focus on. But that's not what they do here exactly, do they? They want to make stuff better for the new players because like they did that for like scout planes. So people are complaining people can't get a fucking plane. Why that didn't need to be there? They did that for like randoms and people who said that we couldn't put in the time for to join a big group and get like bigger planes instead. Which is like who are you pleasing, my brother in Christ? Just figure out your audience. You want to go for the milsims? Yeah, there's an audience for milsims on on Foxhole. That's fine. People who don't want to play milsims can just play something. I mean, not play something else because Foxhole is one of a kind in some aspects. But they'll be at least be happy knowing that the devs are not with me. That's not nearly the vision here. But like the vision is so clouded, nobody exactly knows what the fuck is going on. Like if you want to have a simulation game, then make a simulation game. If you want to do LARP stuff like fucking Warhammer 40K, big fucking battles, people dying 10,000 casualties, that's fine too. Like just be consistent. Just tell people what you want to make. And if people don't like it, they can like grumble about it. But that's like they will know that I'm not welcome here.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that especially recently when you have people like when you propose to nerf the scout plane that say you can't nerf the scout plane. It's the only way that solo player have to access the air gameplay, which is false, but it's not even the topic. Like for some people, that's how they envision the game. Where there is like solo tools and regimental tools, and both of them coexist. The thing is, as always, when the solo tools end up in the hands of the regiment, in the hands of the regiments, that's where the issue starts to appear. Um, and yeah, very different vision of the game, and that's also part of the issue. Besides the devs failing to enforce one vision on the game, because that's what it is at the end of the day. They could say what they want, that vision would need to be enforced to some extent. Like if they want to say that the game need to be played in regiments, they should make clear and allow in the game very easily to join a regiment, because otherwise you know that some player will never do it by themselves. But yeah, the other issue is like, yeah, devs are not enforcing one, and people are also trying to warp Foxhole one way or another with their feedback. Because yeah, well, as you said, Foxhole is one of a kind too, and it's the biggest trends of Foxhole, but also the biggest flaws. Because people won't be able to go to, if Foxhole doesn't go their way, they won't have a Foxhole that went their way to go to play. That's also an issue in my opinion. I mean, it's you can't blame them for it, but
You can't blame Siege Camp for it though. I mean,
I
like
mean,
if
you
it
can't blame
like it's
Stitchcam
like
for
Dark
developing a
Souls.
game that is unique.
Yeah, it's like Dark Souls. Like it is what it is. That's like difficulty is like all you get out of it. If you want to play Dark Souls but less difficult, I don't know, man. Buy a
Yeah,
make a
but there
new
is other
developer.
games. There is Souls like, there is a whole genre for it. There is not
Yeah,
Foxhole
there's a whole
like.
genre for it. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's like no competition with Foxhole. There's like no nothing that exactly. This is why Foxhole has just kept a lot of his player base. Because like, what else are you gonna play that does Foxhole? Fucking nothing.
Yeah, because
Literally
most
nothing.
MMOs are not as social as that. I mean, because what exactly is Foxhole at the end of the day? It's like the key components are the fact that it's a very social game. Like you need to cooperate a lot. It's PvP only. There is some PV in a way with the farming, even if it's not exactly PvE. But the game is only PvP. There is no main quest or anything for MMO. So it's a PvP MMO, very social cooperation, and that lasts 40 days or 30 days or multiple days at least. That is not like it's not one game. Like yeah, the game is kind of long
I
because
think
most of
the
the
fact
time.
it's long is it's what people attracts people to it. Because it's
I
like
mean, does it really? I mean,
kinda.
for the vets, yeah, that's the part we care about. But when you start Foxhole, does the fact that the war will still be going 3 weeks when you will come back, will still be going 3 weeks later when you will come back, really does matter? Because if you're a casual, you don't really have an investment in the first place, in the war. You just went to a front line, you did stuff. I mean, I need to know what's the percentage of returning player, like players that will come back in a war but didn't play like every 1 or 2 days of the said war. Like I played 2 hours 2 hours that week, and I came back 1 week later to play 2 hours again, because if you play like that to Foxhole, you have a very very low investment in on and contribution to the war. It doesn't mean that you don't have fun, but I'm pretty sure that some other games might be able to provide that, because you're missing one of the key aspects of it.
I mean,
But
none of the games had the same depth though. Like, if you, as a new player, when you get into Foxhole and pick up a rifle, and you're just like amazed at how like deep the game goes. Not like how many games are you gonna have? Like, you need to like you need to like put in bullets in the gun before you actually fire it. Like, think about it. Like, think about how many
mm,
games you're just gonna like load in and think,
yeah,
hey, I need to grab ammo from for my gun
I
and
mean,
actually load it.
grabbing ammo is a core for a lot of survival game, like Rust or stuff like this, I think. So it's not exactly the issue. The thing is,
I mean, yeah, but it's like,
You have to be supplied in ammo, and that's when you start to realize that part, that it feels different. But also, I think that even if it's not lasting a week, the other thing that might sound a bit weird for I mean, and interesting for other players, is that most of the time when you log off, you are far from the end of the war. You know, like your game sessions will always be shorter than a war, which might not be the case of which might not be the case of a let loose game, for example. Like even if you log off after 30 minutes, you know that if you come back in 2 hours, that game will be done.
Yeah, that's what I
Fox.
mean. Like the length is a
Mhm.
factor because it makes people like think about, hey, tomorrow I can have this exactly have this to do. I can have that to think about, which is you can't really find that in because the another big thing this game does is the tech system. Where you're not gonna find a lot of games with like besides like survival horror with like tech, but that's like they're not even like in the same thing. Like it's not really exactly one to one with Foxhole where you're like tomorrow I fought with a rifle. Tomorrow, like 2 days later, there might be like actual like few machine guns going around. 2 days later, there might be tanks and stuff. Then and that progression is kind of cool to like a lot of new players and a lot of like people who want to get immersed into this world. Because like the main part for any new player is the immersion, right? It's not like the gameplay, not like it's not, I mean, gameplay is there obviously. It's not like the mechanics or anything. It's how immersed you can be in the world and and the setting that you're trying to portray. And I think Foxhole does a really really great job on on that front. Like it makes it. You can't say it doesn't make me feel like I. I'm a like a 20th century soldier like doing stuff that a 20th century soldier would reasonably do at some point. It was like not. I'm not saying it's simulation. It's not one to one,
Yeah,
obviously, but
you're not really dying.
yeah, obviously, yeah. Like it's not simulation. Like, come on, games are gonna be fucked if that happens. But the immersion capacity is really unmatched for a lot of games. If you look at the market for what it is.
Yeah, I get that part, and I agree. But at the same time, isn't it one of the issue with the game right now? Is you were talking thing changing every 2 days, but isn't it part of the issue with the late game right now that we reach the late war kinda too fast compared to the length of the game? Like when you look at it, most of the time a war has most of its duration with tanks than without it.
I think the tech system is fucking outdated as hell, man. I think.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, but I do think it's also too fast, which was my main point.
yeah, it's fine. It's just not really what Foxhole is about anymore. It was really cool back in the days when like wars ended 20 days and you like like had tech nukes and that's it. The war's gonna end in like 5 days after because you had satchels to end the war. So like in that sense, yeah, it's. I think the war. I think if you're not tweaking the war length, which I mean, they clearly do not want. They don't want for like they're not opposed to longer wars, but they'd rather avoid shorter wars at all cost.
I mean,
Like that's the nightmare scenario, I think. Is like wars lasting 10, 18 days and the tech tree is not being completed.
if they increase the wars, but you have clear periods in the war, for example, that you let's say that the early war phase that right now lasts 1 or 2 days, like I mean no before artillery, let's say before artillery, you have yeah not even a week. I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not.
100%, 100%. You're bang on, man. That's like 100%. Just completely right about that. Early
Yeah,
war is
what
like
what
2 days and like crazy.
what if that part of the war now lasts 2 weeks, and the full war lasts 60 days?
It would
Would
be
that
really fun. I think it would really be a lot of fun. I mean,
like
assuming
you?
like obviously there's like, I think the problem that holds it back is like equipment because there's like a lot of answers the other team doesn't have like stuff like artillery and tanks and like foot 40s and that just kind of makes colonial early games a bit weaker and like vehicles a bit weaker. Like if you like flesh out the tech tree with all the cool tools and all
I
the
mean,
kits,
you need
that's a really good idea.
you need to balance a lot of stuff, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
wouldn't it feel less exhausting for people if basically the game is just slowed on every aspect, so you don't have to play every day because you drastically decrease M-subs consumption and stuff like this. I mean, you need to balance it by making stuff likely costing more. So if a base was able to be done in like 3 hours before, if the game is 2 times slower, it would need to take more time. But people might be able to play it in a more healthy way, and also people would be able to enjoy part of the war, play more part of the war they enjoy. I know that a lot of people, surprisingly, enjoy the very first hours of the war, where it's basically running with a rifle from trenches to trenches. Like no artillery, no vehicles, nothing, just pure infantry chaos. No much AI and stuff like this. I'm not even sure that's possible to be made, but it might be an option to have a game that is more healthy to play, even if the war lasts longer, because in a way, besides the issue that no patch might cause to the game, I do think that it's also more interesting from from a communication point of view and just like feeling to have wars that last 1 or 2 months rather than 1 month at best most of the time.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think if you balance stuff out and you make like stuff a little less grindy for how long the war goes, and I mean, if you cut the grind but make stuff longer to make, like
mm,
stuff, so you can like not play the game and still like come back and have stuff made for you. I think that's a good compromise for that. Like balance and numbers tweaking will surely make that happen, and I think it will be a really nice idea. It might need a bit of tweaking depending on the war, but I think it's really strong concept.
because right now one of the exhaustions come from you are if you want to play war fully due to MSUPs and stuff, if you want to have a base, you need to come back every day. If it lasts for 40 days. Which
It's
means
not
that you
just
do
it's
have
not just
to
MSubs
log for
though.
40 days.
It's not just MSubs though. It's about stockpiles, everything in the refinery. If you
Yeah,
like make those like a lot less forgiving, I mean, lot more forgiving. It's really actually a very fun game to have.
no, I mean, I get that part, but what I meant is like, um, when I did, for example, during Airborne update, I did my defenses around the bulwark. I had nothing left to do every day besides my M-subs and supplying my bases. I didn't have any stockpile to manage or anything, and so I wasn't exhausted because there wasn't that much to do. But still, I needed to be that. I needed to be there for every day, and if I wasn't, if I planned to not be here for a few days, I had to like oversupply my bases, find people to replace myself, which I did a few times, and that's part of the exhaustion that come with the length of the war. I think if you remove that, I'm pretty sure that people would be able to go over wars that would last 60, 70, 80 days more easily. So at the same time, it does have an issue. If the game still snowballs enough, you'd have people like saying like I'm tired of that war, I just want to go next, and you have to wait
Yep,
for a long time, which is also
yep.
an issue.
I mean, it depends. I think it's like it's a cool concept. We just need to see if like the player base is gonna be like latch onto the concept of you get more free time and you can like
Yeah.
space yourselves out better. But at the same time, if the war is going against you or if you don't like the war, how the war is going, you need to wait a long time to to get the new one. And that's like that's like a thing, but I think it's a really solid concept if you make the war actually fun and like the commitment. I think you want to know a hot take. I think bunkers with how bad they are should really not cost a lot of MSIPs to manage in general.
Sorry, say
Like
again.
bunkers with how like easy it is to kill and like how
Oh, hmm.
annoying it is to maintain. I don't think this would cost a lot of MSubs, if any at all, depending on how big it is.
I mean, you'd need to. You could have something like this, but you'd need to basically be able to find the sweet spots. You could have a reverse subregion modifier system, basically saying that each region have that much free MSubs, for example.
Yeah,
Like
it's actually yeah, that's actually a far fine idea because yeah, you can if you want some place built up, then you can still build it up and you can just not pay any MSubs for it. But if you overbuild, there's always going to be consequences for that, and I think it's really a good.
yeah, the only issue that I see with that system is that you'd have it would go the other way compared to the MSUS modifiers that we had before. You would have people like demolishing stuff because someone built in their area and now everything costs MSUPs,
I
or
mean, yes, but I think
or you just put a chronological mean, and so only the new built in the area no cost MSUPs, and but then you would have griefing to remove the old stuff because you want to build for free. I don't know. It would cause some issues. It could work, but it would need to be thought about, and it would be weird to see, I think.
I mean, the idea of M subs before is like bunkers are too strong. We don't want marginal lines, but bunkers are not really that strong
It's
anymore.
not only. It's
And
not. No. It's not that. No, MSubs doesn't exist for that. They've said multiple times that if they could, they would allow us to build without limits because they would like to see what we would do with it. MSubs are only there to save the servers,
yeah, yeah, I understand. And I know.
which
But
is
like,
why putting some free stuff, if it's controlled and a decent amount, would go well enough. Because I'm pretty sure that some servers are indeed underused based for the building. I mean, but I might be
my
wrong
logic
about
is
that
like
one.
my logic is like it's so easy to blast anything you build right now down to the point that like if you yeah you can overbuild or like over like have a server that's like pretty strained, but if it gets attacked it just falls apart. I think that's not really a terrible idea, is it?
Yeah.
Like the attack like the momentum of the attack makes the server better if you get what I mean.
Yes, but the thing is, people do like to defend stuff. I mean, it's fun defending in Foxhole. Like, if you're just fighting so to in order to kill the momentum because you know that at some point they log off, it's hard to defend, like because basically if you start with the idea in mind that the base will never resist anyway, you're just making it take more time.
To trench
uh
them, yeah.
yeah,
It reminds me of the trench,
it's
the
not it's
holding places of trenches.
yeah
So peak.
it's not very fun because the attacker knows that they will always succeed. The question is not the question is not if they will succeed, but how much they will succeed.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I think I
it
don't really
doesn't make
like that
defending
part
fun. Like
either.
I think that bases should be able to hold to some extent. The answer to
Yeah,
answer
I
is
mean,
how much are they supposed to hold?
the whole meta for Foxhole is just offense, offense, offense. And if you're like, you can't like have a defense anymore. Where you like before like building changes, you could have like the place where you can like
Mm.
build and defend for like a week straight, and it won't like will be pretty much secure for like a week at least.
Uh,
But now here's like attack. I just need to go consistently keep counter attacking. You just need to keep putting have the initiative and put pressure on the enemy, and
yeah,
eventually something's gonna break. And that's like a not really a fun meta, is
th-
it,
th-
for anyone?
that's my issue with breaching right now, especially for tier 3. It's like I do like the concept of breaching, My main issue is like we don't need that much specialized equipment for breaching, which means that you just have to brute force stuff. You can go with Lunaire or Cutlass Palm, and things will breach at some point. Or if they don't, it means that you don't have enough, or that your assault is not. You don't have enough RT to prevent people to repair, or I don't know what.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
it's
yeah,
just
I
that
think
you
it's like
need.
general
Right
grievances about the
now, Foxhole
building.
is pretty much played by the book. The issue with that, I mean, it's not an issue for me, but it's an issue when the meta that is written in the book is basically spam RT, spam Cutler, or spam Lunaire. And if it doesn't work, that does mean that one of the things is not spammed enough, and that's about it. Like when I imagine, when I think about what's the perfect Foxhole front for me, it's like a front that is held by the attacker. They have the initiative. Basically, the defensor are pinned down, and the attacker needs to bring a solution that can't be exactly there from the start, which is not the case of Cutler and Lunar. For me, that's what Ballista and Chieftain are supposed to be, or to some extent a tank for tier 2 at least. But right now, it's not exactly what's happening because most of the vehicle can't face any AT garrisons because AT garrisons need to be facing vehicle for preventing free PvE by vehicles. And the fact that you can't really suppress AT garrisons and you only have to bridge them with Cutler spam, for example, or Lunar spam, it's a design issues because you would have a more rich gameplay if you were able to suppress them and then destroy them with the weapons that they are supposed to counter. It's equally frustrating, but at least the defenders have no a window of opportunity where the game change for a few minutes from we need to defend and repel the attackers to we need to prevent them to get the tank in range of our defenses, um, which is a bit more interesting in my opinion, even if it's a bit more yeah, it's less sandbox because that would mean that yeah, we are on the front. We need something to bridge the front line, and it needs to be explosives wielded by infantry or tanks. No much more options like spamming everything that you can have, and one of them will work well enough. Uh, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, Foxhole is right now is like rock, paper, scissors, except rock beats scissors, rock beats paper too. Like, if you consider artillery, if you like get like five, six guns, you can just kill all the infantry. You can kill like suppress tanks really well. Even if you don't like outright kill them,
yeah,
you can and
and the scissor can't kill anything. Like the scissor lose against
yeah,
the bunker, the scissor
it's
lose against artillery, infantry.
it's
It
so
loses against everything.
funny. It's so funny when people say, "Oh, combined arms," and like, I mean, I guess yeah, artillery and infantry technically is combined arms, but like when you think about it, if you could get away with it, you can just throw artillery at a lot of your problems and just sit back and just defend that, and just win fronts of that, and just
I mean, if they were not super annoying to use, we wouldn't even use tanks. We just use field guns just to handle any tanks that would be thrown by the enemies, because tanks in itself are not that scary, but
we
they
won't,
still need to
we
be
don't
dealt
even
with.
need we don't
I
even
mean,
need field guns, bro. We
yeah,
just
you could use
like
infantry. Yeah, you could use
yeah,
infantry.
just use stickies or like ignis or like the 10 different infantry AT options that we have.
Yeah. That's true, but the thing it's more easy for people to just use the field gun that is there for the very obvious purpose of killing the tank than to organize a sticky rush because you can't really kill tank alone.
Well, the problem
And
is, Kov. The funny problem is the field. You can't use a field gun because guess what kills the field gun? And
yeah,
the
the
thing is,
artillery. But what I meant by that is like the infantry killing tanks works well, but it's less. It's not really the evident solution for people, nor is the fun one. Like people have to like to have tank battle, and since tank can kill tank, they'll still go for tank for killing tank. Even if it's not, even if it requires an extra, even if it's not exactly the meta, they'll still go for that, and that's also an issue because right now tanks are existing in the game. Only basically people are larping in tank, which is a sad thing to say, but I'm pretty sure that it's the case.
the problem with tanks is like Foxhole. I mean, we gotta address this now before like we talk about stuff later. Player base is bad, man. People are 90%. I mean, okay. Do I want to say 90%? Because I don't know if it's going on in the internet. People are gonna say, "Oh, how dare you call me bad at the game?" I'm not saying people are bad at the game. That's not. That's not. Please, guys. That's not what I'm asking. Just talking about. But majority of people are not gonna play like they could, like the best possible moves in like a chess
I mean,
game.
of
Just
course.
which is fine. I'm not saying that's like everyone should play the optimum way and you need to do the optimum things. But when the difference between that is like we were talking about population and stuff and all that
Mm.
stuff. When you if you can like bring 8 tanks and your infantry isn't able to deal with that and you don't have artillery, tanks are not that bad because by the virtue of the opposition you're facing, they're not actually using the meta to the fullest extent.
Yeah, I mean, that depends. If you have 8 tanks and you are starting at a concrete wall built well enough, they won't do much either, even if there is
Yeah,
no
but
infantry or artillery.
yeah, but people are not talking about concrete walls. So people are, when people talk about tanks and doing something, they're
Mm.
talking about tanks
Mm.
either blasting to tier 2, which is not that hard anymore because half the fronts are magnets. Let's be real. It's not
Yeah,
really. You
magnets,
can bring like four Spartas.
magnet is
Yeah,
shit.
you can bring like four Spartas and just blast that stuff down. Who gives a fuck, you know?
Yeah, yeah, magnet is shit.
And compound that with people don't want to do artillery and organizing in this game is like 50-50. Like if you get like really good like blobs of anti-tank infantry just going around wiping tanks left and right, or you get have you get you see have like nothing because and people are just PvP infantry fighting and just getting shot down by tanks just that they're like max ranging and shooting into their trenches.
I
Stuff like
mean,
that is happening.
basically, you
And
could see, like, if you're able to do stuff in tanks, it's just basically you are playing against people that are not playing meta, which is
exactly.
kind, yeah, it's like a noob killer in a way,
In
because
that context, and like what we've talked about is people like not if you don't have the pop, you don't have like you don't have the pop all the time, you don't have the brain cells all the time, or you don't have
mm.
the, I mean not the brain cells. I'm sorry guys. Before people crucify me, I meant veterancy. Brain cells. It's not like your people are playing this game as stupid. They just don't know better. But or just run of water. I mean, I've personally been there. I don't want to fucking organize a sticky roast every 10 seconds. That's like bane of my existence. But yeah, if you do we have to consider that for a subsection of players, and this ties back to our previous discussions about how people perceive Foxhole and what is LARP and what is like meta and what is like skill and what is not what is like organization.
Mm.
Tanks are not that bad in that context, but in the context of objectively looking at through the macro lenses and how the cost and the stuff cost how cost counters and the pop and everything else factors in, tanks are really bad. So at you have to ask yourself at what point of view do you take?
Mm, yeah, I mean, yeah, they are bad, but they are usable. And the thing is, that's another issue that you need to figure out with Foxhole. Is like, if you where do you look when you want to balance and adjust the game? Do you want to look at the average player that might need more manpower, that might need more veterans, that might need more following the meta? Do you want to look at the top because that's the one that will abuse every mistake that you made in your balance? Or do you want to look at the rock bottom, focus on new player experience? Uh, because that's part of the that's part of the promise of the game. Uh,
Part of the core discussions that we wanna have about.
everyone can do everything no matter how much hours they have in the game. And so, how do you do when you have new players in a tank, for example, or
Yeah,
wanting
like
to play tank? Because
it's
they will.
the yeah, that's like the core issue with what the most discourse about tanks and kits are. Like people are saying, people are one thoughts are gonna say, "Oh, Silverhand is a really bad tank," and I'm gonna say, it's actually a decent tank," because the vision and what people face have a really, I mean, not the vision, I'm sorry, the perception and the experience that people have will really like impact how they perceive something to be strong or less strong. Because if you ask me, who's been played tanks fairly recently, I say Nemesis is really bad. Because from my experience, all I fucking do in a Nemesis is just spam 68 as outlaws, get trade hits, and just go back to repair, and nothing ever gets done. But in the same time, I've seen clips of this, and like people do. I've done it myself at some points as well. I've like just went all in and just rushed the fucking tanks, like chucked four tremolas at it, which tracked it, and then just finished it off. And that's like a really different perspective on the moment-to-moment gameplay and how people will think the kits are. And that's like you can't really account for that exactly. And that's like a really big issue on why people are sort of divided nowadays. Like we can't really have a talk about South Plains and saying people saying. I mean, South Plain is like it's mellowed out a lot. I'm gonna say that, but for stuff like tanks and artillery, it's really based on how you what you fight, when you fight, how you fight. That's
I mean, you could
the
just take the example of the bone law. The bone law is, in terms of chassis, one of the weaker medium tank. One of the weakest medium tank. Like, it's kinda more squishy than the rest, especially compared to the rest of the Warden lineup. But it has a very huge damage potential. But you need to aim. You need to fear a bit turret disable and stuff like this. But still, if everything pans, which is not that hard to achieve, because they are arc RPG, so they have the pen bonus.
point five x.
You have the potential to overkill a tank by at least 50% of your magazine nearly. Um, or and how do you balance something like this? Because someone that is bad will never do anything with it because it's a bit harder to play than the rest. You need good positioning and good stuff like you need to be good. But someone that is actually good will be very hard to handle because the tank is not a LTD. It doesn't die with a with the breeze or anything.
Yeah, fun.
Not to this point. It's squishy, but not to this point. And yeah, someone that plays himself well will just do wonders with it, and be able to deal with also with priority targets like um, like a noob don't really or yeah don't really will know what to focus with it. Some experienced player will not engage unless there is a target that is more worth than the other, that is not a Falcon or Sparta, because they won't take the risk. And the thing is that makes that stuff basically impossible to balance, um, because yeah, I mean it's possible to balance it, but you need to look at where you want to where you want to put it. Do you want it to be easier to play but with lower peaks, so you remove a bit of its identity, you made it more tanky, you increase the speed of the arc RPG, but you remove four of them, for example? Or do you want it to be like a veteran weapon, which does mean that it won't even be a noob stomper, it will be worse than this, and even for veteran, it will be quite hard to face. Um, and the thing is, for tanks, yeah, it's and for many equipments, that will be another issue with Foxhole. It's like everyone is able
Yeah,
to
like
do
I said,
everything and access to everything, and people will abuse what's good with how they play, and no matter what they just abuse
yeah,
it.
it's just so many voices, so many different experiences that we are never gonna have. That it's kind of hard to put yourself in that shoes even because you're not gonna you don't know what they've faced. You don't know the situations they've been. So taking feedback from that point of view is a really hard thing to do as well, and I think that's why a lot of discourse is around the kits. But I think that's also something devs need to like clarify. Hey, we need to. This is about. This is gonna be focused more towards the wet portions. This is gonna be more towards the new players. That's why we are gonna balance it around this. And instead, you'll just do a stat change which doesn't tell anyone anything and just makes people cope. It's not really a great way to like foster your community.
Do you think we need a balanced manifesto? Like
Oh
we
my god! Honestly,
no, let me
honestly, it would
fin-
be really huge.
But yeah, basically we devs list every piece in the game and just add two or three lines, basically what's intended for it to be, and so feedback can be shared um, that way. Like we want the bone law to be something very efficient used by new players, which is why it's a bit overpowered. And in that case, we know that right now it's not exactly how it's perceived. Do we want like we want the Sparta to be a straight up Falcon upgrade, or we want the Sparta to be the or instead we want the Falcon to be the main colonial tank, and the Sparta to be an expensive upgrade of that very average tank that is supposed to be the norm. We want that balance difference that we see, for example, for the artillery. Let's use a bit of bias. We want it's intended that the warden has more protection and is able to face howitzer better. Colonials are there mainly to the colonial 150 is supposed to be better at taking back ground on tier 2, for example, so there won't be any other OE issues, and it will always have the initiative due to the superior range, stuff like this. Do you think a document like this would help, or do you think that the community would just ignore it because they want the game to be played one way, and it wouldn't, yeah, basically they would just like criticize the dev's intent rather than try to play along with it?
That's an interesting question. I'm gonna share my screen for a bit about a different game. That's like
uh
I was it doesn't matter. I was just giving an example of like a balance change
I
patch for a
I don't have
card
I don't
game.
have any scene for that, so I'll be able to follow, but I won't be able to to put it.
I know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fine. I
Okay,
just want to give you a visual. Can you
okay. So
look at
so so
like
what game is that?
this is a World War II card game. It's
Okay.
like Magic the Gathering, but with World War II setting, and you play cards and you have
Yeah.
destroy your enemies and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Okay, okay. Card games. Okay.
This is a balance patch, like it says balance patch.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. So
Look
they
at this.
justify every nerf and buff with a wall of
Exactly.
text.
This
Yeah.
is what we want to do. This is what we intend to do. This is the type of card we want to see in this deck. and we are going to balance and look at this for the next few days and see if this actually happens or not. But the problem is, I think these devs know what the fuck they're doing. Do you think Siege Camps knows what the fuck they're doing with their tanks instead of, oh, this
I
tank
mean,
is really cool?
we are back. We are back to the earlier question of, do they even have a scenery, or how the game is supposed to be unraveled in their mind?
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
part is not a guarantee, but at the same time is, in my opinion, needed. Like,
They know what the
if we
fuck
were
they're
able
doing.
to interview a dev, like or even Mark Foods, about a specific part of the game, and describe to me how that is supposed to interact with that, and how it's supposed to look like. um, the question is not would they be able to do it, but how precise would it be? Because that's the argument of many players sometimes, that they say, and they scream everywhere, like it's a sandbox game, so there is nothing planned, like they are giving us tools, and it's up to us to figure it out. And I have an issue with that. Like, I get that some people enjoy the sandbox, but I think that Foxhole will never be able to be good as long as this sandbox aspect is kept. Because if everything is sandbox, that does mean that you need to players to do first, and you will always um, adjust the sandbox based on what players does, which does mean that sometime you will see, for example, a very efficient meta to arise, and by design, you know that you don't like how this meta looks like, and you will nerf it. Which end up with a cycle of always players get creative, find something that works well, but we don't like it, so we nerf it. Which could be prevented from the start if the game was a bit less sandbox, and with a more determined vision of what the game is supposed to be, which would mean that, from as long as you stay inside this box, you're free to do what you want. But we do have a box from the start, which is not the case right now. And so you have devs trying to put everything in. You have devs in panic trying to put everything back into a box that they are not even sure what it's supposed to look like in the first place.
Yeah, but that's like the main issue. It's like asking like you are reading a really cool manga, and you wanna ask the author of said manga about the lore and what the backstory is. What will be your biggest fear? The author says something that you don't agree with, or the author says, "I have no fucking clue, man. I was just fucking vibing." What answer would hurt you more? Is my question in
I
that
mean,
context.
having done some world building for tabletop RPG and stuff like this for friends, um, it's good that not everything is figured out, but you need to have at least like ideas, ideas of where you want to go. Like, you don't need to. It's not because you introduced a country that you know everything from who is the current leader, what's their goal, who will be encountered in that area, or stuff like this. But you need to have a global idea. Like, you don't know about it. It's not explained yet, but you do know that you want this country to be like very centered about trading stuff with other nations, because it lacks resources. It's a very army focused or stuff like this. But you don't want to. It's not a big deal if you don't want to. If you don't know what resources yet, or what kind of leader it is. If it's a king, a king, a council, or whatever it is, a republic. Like, some points are needed, of course, but it's not a big deal if not everything is figured out. But you need to have guidelines. You need to have an idea of the box right now, of the box you will put your country in. And my issue right now is to answer your question a bit. My biggest fear would that the answer would be like the con- the limit of the box are the manga, like or the limit of the box are Foxhole in the case of Foxhole. Like it's too big, it's too wide, it's not focused enough.
Yeah, but the question is the same. If the devs say, like, this is how we wanted the faction to, this is how we perceive colonials to be, and you don't necessarily agree with it, is that worse than if devs said, hey man, we just made colonials. We don't really actually know what the fuck is going on with the faction. Like, which is gonna be a harder hitting blow.
Mm, the second one would be a harder eating blow for the simple reason that if you don't know how you want colonials to be, that does mean that everything is made on like a cool factor, sort of, and you don't have any idea of how the stuff is supposed to interact with each other. Like even a base idea, like it's dumb and a bit simplistic, but combined arms is kinda like making combos between weapons. So they support each other, fix each other flaws, or at least go with the same idea of how a fight is supposed to unravel. And if you don't have that, you end up with a kit that is yes, like even if you put gimmicks, because that's what dev seems to want to do with the vehicles, at least. Even if you put gimmicks, you have something that is consistent visually, but that is not consistent from when you play it, and that's an issue because if you don't have any idea, you will never be able to reach that consistency. Or if you do, that means that you are lying when you say you don't have any idea, even implicitly.
I mean, it depends on what game we're talking about. I think for Foxhole, I don't think they have any. I mean, if you ask a lot of people, they're gonna say devs have no idea what the hell they're doing. Like, I think it's been pretty obvious to some degree. Like, they're not really just want to push out cool stuff and the cool factor over anything like tangible. Like, we don't are we even the MPF faction, the mass production faction? Like, it's like really hard to say. We have only one FALS. Like, the FALS is the only thing. There's nothing been expanded on the mass production faction forever. So like,
Yeah,
you know.
we are basing that on very old info that were never updated. Same as even before that, like Colonial are supposed to be simplistic, efficient design. Wardens are very refined, over engineered, stuff like this. And we don't even know if it's true anymore.
But then, like, that's what I'm
Because
saying. You get stuff like Nemesis, which is like really cool, and then ones get stuff like a Brigand, which is like 30 mil and
Nem-
on an outlaw. Like,
Nemesis is Nemesis is ugly as fuck.
okay, I'm not saying in the looks. I'm saying the mechanically and how interesting the tank is.
I find it like I don't get the hype around the Nemesis. I find the logic behind it overcomplicated for something that is like it's basically a weird silver end reversed in terms of
Yep,
main turrets
yep.
and why tremolas? Like why? Like
It thinks they wanted 30 mils, but they were like, this might be actually broken, guys. So Tremolas is like PvE, but not really, you know?
yeah, but the thing is when you that's my issue with some of the designs is like it might look cool because it looks cool because like like colonials like tremolas for lunaires and stuff like this. Like for some people they really like it. It gives them like don't know dopamine or anything like tremola's cool. Um, but when you look at it from a design perspective, like who the fuck would put a grenade launcher on a tank that moves? Like it's
Nobody.
like
It's
it's
fucking
just a dumb
stupid.
design, and that's the reason why I don't like it. It doesn't cool to me because it's too weird to have any sense, and that's why I don't like the Nemesis. Because yeah, purely from a balance perspective, why not? Gameplay perspective, it's fucking weird. Design perspective, it's atrocious.
I
Like
agree. I agree to a degree. I think if you look at the like the like actual like military design, and like if you're interested in that, and then you look at the Nemesis and you're like, what the fuck is this shit? And it's absolutely true.
uh,
And I don't really hate it. I'm just saying from uh like a previous experience perspective type thing. All we get is like track tanks, like turret tank stuff. Nemesis does stand out. At
yeah,
the very least, that's like its only redeeming factor. If
yeah.
if we if you can say that.
But the thing is, I'm pretty sure that you could try to add some of that um, military design rightness to the design process of
Oh,
Foxhole.
I don't think so. I don't
No,
think
no, no, no.
so.
But what I mean is like when you add something because it looks cool, it needs to have some sort of a reason to be added. Sorry, when you add something, it needs to be to have some sort of a reason to be added, and you need to find a way to justify it, even from a gameplay perspective. Like the Nemesis can be justified because yes, Colonial were lacking versatile options in their tank line. Like we had no tanks like the Silver End that was
Yeah.
able to have dedicated PvE tool and dedicated PvP tool. Um, okay, that's the reason. Now we want to explore something new, uh, but we wanted to add wheels. Okay, that's a cool factor. That is a bit fantasy because you are not designing that way. Normally, you design it the other way. You look for the need and then you find. The thing is, Nemesis, when you look, even if you like faked and reverse the process, it wouldn't fit the you wouldn't be able even after design to make a fake request that would justify the Nemesis, you know? Like that's my issue.
Yeah, I
Like
get what you mean.
if you would try to find something that would be like uh, colonials uh, needed a vehicle versatile that were able to go off-road, very nimble in order to flank the lines because the warden armor were proved harder to to pierce from the front, and so again you have that flank design. The thing is, well, the Nemesis doesn't really use um, the benefits of what this design is supposed to be, which is like a long, fast, nimble off-road. It doesn't feel like that in the gameplay, and so you have a design that makes no sense. Like it looks like something that it's not doing, and that's my second issue with it. Like first, the grenade launcher is weird, and the second is like it's super hard to justify the Nemesis design from like even from a LARP point of view, uh, because you could say also okay the wheels are for the Nemesis for it to be efficient on the road, so it moves faster from a front line to the others. But the Nemesis isn't even that fast. Like
Not even
even if you
fast
do
on the
not
silver
make it
hand.
off road, it's not even that fast. So it
Yeah.
doesn't have a mobility advantage even to redeploy or stuff like this. Like it just a weird tank design that was made, and then they tried to fit it in the box of the other tanks design. even if it looks inconsistent at the end of the day. And
That's
so
like
I think they
our
could do the opposite, like try to identify what a faction need or what a faction would need, and then start from there, or at least, as I said, do the reverse process. And then, okay, you have a cool design. We need to find a reason why the colonials could need something like this, or why doctrine-wise they would, what they would want to do with that, and we give it to them, and then they figure it out, and we fail or not. But yeah, it doesn't seem that it seems that none of that was done for the Nemesis. Like, okay, it has wheels, it feels different. We need to balance it. We give it a grenade launcher. And why the wheels? It just looked cool. It doesn't give any real benefits. Like,
yeah, but
no.
that's like the thing we're talking about is are we sure they aren't just adding stuff because it looks cool? Are we sure there's even a vision? Like they know what like everything has a grand plan and everything is as a part of a
Yeah,
puzzle that
but
fits in
it's
somewhere.
it's not that much of an issue to add something because it looks cool. But then you need to make the design consistent. Like, why do you have wheels on a vehicle if it's not for it to be faster on the road, you know? Like, it would be the same as making a gun with a very long barrel because it looks cool, but at the end of the day, the gun doesn't have any range advantage, you know?
Yeah, again, Scoff, it looks cool. That's all it does. There's a lot of examples on this though. It's not like the Nemesis is like the only thing. If you
Yeah,
take
no,
it
no.
take
But the
the
Nemesis is a very striking example of that.
yeah, Sirius is a obvious example, but it's like more stuff you can like say it's the same for if you like go through the kits of foot factions, to be honest.
Because it's different than the brigand that got nerfed so bad, you know.
I mean the
And
Highwayman.
that is no useless. Like, brigand is mostly cool concept, but that have a hard time fitting the meta, but and also got nerfed. The Nemesis is even
I
is
mean, you
something
mean the
else.
Highwayman? I mean,
Yeah,
you mean
yeah.
the
Sorry,
Highwayman, right?
I women, I women.
Brigand. I was like so
Yeah,
confused. When
yeah,
did
no, no,
Brigand
no.
get
I women. Nothing to say about the brigand. Yeah, I women, I women. They are all outlaw chassis. There is like too many of them. I'm lost now.
Oh yeah, there's like there's 3 or 4 of them at this point. Holy shit.
Four including base chassis. It's like the vehicle with the most variants, I think, in the game.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think Falcon is the like second most with like 3, and the Ballistas and Silverhands have 2 each.
Yeah. When do we get a new Falcon variant?
Second what?
A new Falcon variant.
No, I don't even. I mean, what do you want to put on it? What do you even want
SPG 120.
120 millimeter. Yo, we are so bad. If I wasn't number one RD hater, I would say that's such a good idea. It's gonna be
I,
so
I mean,
peak.
I mean, if RT was reworked to be more something I'd like that focus on killing people and suppression rather
Yeah,
than
yeah.
blowing up everything, I would be fine with 120 SPG on medium light tank chassis.
I would even be
And on an
fine.
half track SPG for Warden, of course.
Yeah, yeah, of
Um,
course.
um, but yeah, right now in the game is that would be like cancerous. Like, put a 120 on a tank chassis around the Falcon tech. Yeah, yeah, recipe for disaster.
Yeah, like not at this point in time. Maybe like with reworks and building being less cancer.
Yes.
Want to talk about Howies and how the community reacted to that?
Yeah, we can. So,
Okay, so I'll start. I think Howies were just fine the way that they were. I do not think they needed to be nerfed to
like
be basic. Tier
the
2
tier
Howies
two,
needed to be nerfed.
the tier two always.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think tier 2 Howies needed to be nerfed to be completely useless against most 120s and 150s.
Mm, my issue with them is that they were too easy to get. Like,
Agree.
they were not that strong, but the tier two tech always uh, was coming too early, maybe a
Yep.
good compromise would have to put them like tier 2 OEs and tier 3 garrisons.
They could have
Uh,
done. They could have made a separate like branch for Howies. They did it for the Kong Howies. I don't know why they couldn't have like separated that for the tier two ones.
I mean, they could add a fourth branch using infantry stuff too, but then
Yeah,
you would have the weird. You
it
would
fixes
have
the
the weird
problem of
taking.
ATG taking like a year. I mean, no, not right now, but you can make ATG take quicker depending on the state of the game.
Yeah, but the thing is, how do you do that? I mean, without going too much in. I mean, you'd have the issue of they use the same commands, not the same bunker upgrades, but they are on two
Yeah,
different tree, and I mean, might as well keep them on the same tree. But you could add a new node, yeah.
I mean, the problem with tier 2 ATGs is like what nobody talks about. It's like they've pretty much destroyed any hope of early game vehicle PvE. Like you can't use Icarus anymore because
I mean,
obviously MGG.
even the tier one for light stuff like armored cars are pretty brutal.
Yeah, pretty brutal. Exactly. Like it's just pretty much erased a lot of early
I
game
mean,
like rocket armored cards,
w-
heavy armored cards plays like completely
without
optimized for
starting
that.
too much on the subject because it would be long. Overall, I very much dislike the 80 garrisons in the game right now. Not because I think they are not needed, but because that, but due to the fact that they do their anti PVE job well, but they are way too oppressive on the front line. Like you can't push 80 garrisons on the front line, and that's an issue. Like
Yeah,
yeah, even with breaching, you are kind of limited. Like you are, as we were talking earlier, you just need to spam lunar or tremolo. Lunar
Tremola,
or cutler
infantry,
against it. You
artillery.
you breach G80 and then the block is done because yeah, now you can PV it. There is no in between. Like it's either there or not there, and that's an issue.
That's really an issue. Yeah, I know. I the problem we had this problem, but we sidestepped it for like a multiple years with the 80 gun garrisons, which you had to coordinate to take out, otherwise you're gonna get fucked. That was a decent solution. I don't know why they did never like made anything like that. They
Oh,
bring
you
brought
mean
back
the
like
turrets? The little
yeah,
turrets? Yeah, the
yeah, turrets.
pillboxes. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
old
yeah,
80
yeah, yeah.
pillboxes, yeah.
Yeah. It was a really decent solution for the time when we couldn't take tier 2 ATGs. And then they removed it for like 2 years, and people were like really upset because thanks for rolling tier 2 because you couldn't take it in time. And
Yeah.
instead of like looking at that and seeing what, that the 80
The,
gun garrisons worked for like
the,
that period of time, they just did this instead.
the thing is, you were able to coordinate to handle them, but they were putting a bit too much pressure, I think, from when you had to face both the defenses, the 80, the gun turrets, and potential enemy tank line. Uh, and E80 on stuff like this.
Yeah,
And
but
I
they could be
think that's what
tweaked. I
devs
think
remove them because we were able to deal with them, but we had less pop at the moment. So like 2 or 3 tank was already a big tank frontline for the time. Um, and they were kinda easy to spam. Like they were the cost of the current 80 pillbox, I think,
Yeah,
or
but
maybe
like
a
I
bit
think
more expensive.
it could be tweaked, yeah, but instead of like they went the complete opposite direction and made fucking 80 like the 30 mil pills boxes right now, which does like fucking nothing. Then that's not what pill boxes should do. They should be like
I mean, the reason for that change was also for early war vehicle actually. So that I guess the hope was to try to make them stay that relevant, because basically as soon as the gun turrets were teched, you were not able to do anything with armored car, early field guns or stuff like this because they would get shredded by it. and
Yep.
I guess that they saw the 80, the old 80 pillbox with the old 20 millimeter as a good compromise for that. But that's forgetting the fact that armored car have no future on tanks architect, basically.
Yeah, there's no reason to make them.
Like
It's not even like if
on the long term, it's not a bad idea to soften the 80 defenses, but in the current state of the game and in the state of the game back then, it was it was just too early to make that change because
yeah, I agree.
we didn't get any changes that made intermediary combat vehicle
Yep,
sticking through the war.
yep.
Besides maybe like the 30 millimeter tanket and scout tank, but again
Not
they are
even
just
then, to be honest. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they never saw each other. Gun turrets were removed before, but I think that gun turrets were still teched after those. So it wouldn't have changed much because those are just inferior light tank anyway.
Yeah, didn't. I mean, that's a problem with all vehicles to a degree. Like, once medium tech, why the hell would you use anything else? Like, it's such
Uh,
a really
I mean, yeah,
bad disconnect.
it's not even like medium tank and light tank overshadow everything else. Like even the light tank is overshadowed by the medium tank and have no reason to
Yep.
exist. When it's a bit of military nerds there, but light tanks were used through the whole war. Even when there was heavy tank and medium tank, just didn't serve the same purpose.
I mean, the
It's
point
just,
is, the issue is like in Foxhole, there's like not really a lot of value. I mean, not really a lot of emphasis on recon and spotting and stuff like that.
I mean, there is recon spotting, but there is also taking care of small targets or small softer targets. Like you could a light tanks could be used to go grab an ops bunker on the side or stuff like this. The thing is, a light tank can't face an 80 garrison by itself. Like stuff are over defended by AI for the light tank to be able to go on the side. And also, the second issue is the cost difference. The light tank is like by far inferior to the medium tank, but the cost difference isn't that much. It's like not even two crates of formats cost difference, I think.
Yep, yep.
Like
It's like
it's
one
nothing.
Alcyon would be cheaper than a fucking
Yeah,
like full
I mean
MTF.
it's not even the light tank that should be cheaper. It's like the medium tank that should be way more expensive.
Yeah, but I'd also say that light tanks need to be faster because so like why
Yeah,
does
yeah, but
medium tanks have the almost the same speed as
okay,
light tanks?
yes, but the thing is, imagine that the light tanks costs a third of a medium tank. We might be able to see a bit more light tanks for tasks that are where you need a disposable tank.
I don't
Like,
think it would change much because like
I mean, it
we
wouldn't
that
change much on the front line because on the front line, people will always feel the best they can, and
no
medium
no
tanks
no not
wouldn't
even
be that expensive.
not
But if
even
it's
in the front line curve. If you like take a look at half tracks, they're like half the cost of like tanks and stuff. But even they would once like tanks come out, like you're not even seeing half tracks anymore. Like maybe the couple MG half tracks to support infantry,
yes, because
but
tanks
the
don't have enough MGs. But yeah,
MG, yeah, but but like the thing is you need to like look at what niche or what role it's gonna do. And I think the best role for light tanks is like you make them really fast, you make them really mobile and they can like
I mean the
take
scout
fights, run
tank.
away
I
from
mean,
like
you say that, but we see that the scout tank MG is still used to some extent even in late war. The 30 millimeter never, but the MG
that's
scout tank we saw them time to time. But again, they don't exist that much because three guns with stickies or fuck, what is it called? Or ignis and no more scout tanks.
like I said, like you have niches for MG Scout Tank. You can QRF partisans because you have a radio. You can like
Yeah, yeah.
secure the Logi road. Like what niche does will light tanks have at the end of the day? With think the best niche I think the best solution is like you make them really fast and like really zoom around, so they can like skirmish with tanks. They don't have like need to go toe to toe with tanks. Like I don't think that's like really what anyone wants. But this would like actually like harass tanks and just dip in and out of the battle.
Hmm. I mean,
Which
I mean, fixing tanks would be a whole subject in itself because
oh yeah, we need a whole podcast for that.
there is many possible options for that.
We need a
Uh,
podcast. Look, we need to make a list of what we need the podcast for. We need a
yeah,
podcast
I
for
mean,
infantry. We need a podcast for tanks. We need a
we
podcast for artillery.
we're at around 2 hours already, so we can finish on that and try to
Yeah,
build a list. We need to take about tanks for. I mean, that's a given. I know I want to take about naval because I hate it and love it at the same time.
absolutely, me
And I
too.
want to talk about like landings or how to fix landings and stuff like this because uh, it's sad that besides the LARP, it's just bad in the game right now and it requires so much stuff. We could talk a bit about building. Might not need might be a short one, not because there isn't much to say, but because like there is so many ways to talk about the subject that we need to pick one in advance and just try to try to
Get through
go
it.
around
Yeah.
that one in specifically.
Yeah.
I mean that's something that we could do actually. Just plan some subject in advance and do short version like 30 minutes about one very specific subject or change.
Do
Like
you
I would
do you
like to
think you
talk
can
about
you can
partisans, for example.
you think it's gonna take 30 minutes to cover everything though?
No, 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 not cover everything, but like for example, for partisans, I have a very clear vision of what a partisan should do, and instead of like dreaming about what partisan could be, we could just argue over one specific idea of what partisan could be. Like maybe do partisan one, partisan two, partisan three, and cover three different ideas. Uh,
See what you're
like
talking about.
yeah, yeah, I never talked about that idea, but I'm talking in general. Like like the building rework. Well, that I talked a lot with Hyper. That
Yeah.
building rework, we could talk specifically about that one, and that would be a short format. Like we are not talking about building in general, but just this specific change. So yeah, tank, artillery. No, sorry, no, sorry. Tank, naval, infantry. Yeah, and infantry. There is stuff to say. I
Yeah.
think it's the part of the game that has the less issues in a way, but it could be better.
It's
Uh,
gonna be a lot of semantic arguing because I
yeah,
think you're like one of the ones who say skill isn't shouldn't be a factor, and I'm like a lot of like infantry should
I
have a
mean,
bit of skill.
I mean, I don't think that infantry should be skill like for aiming or stuff like this. The skill in infantry is just like
I think this should be a
picking
bit.
the right weapon at the right time and going into the right position, which is a skill in itself. But it's not like pro gamer skills where you need to have God's hands and do very very precise stuff.
I'll disagree, but that's this topic for different
Yeah, yeah.
times.
Okay,
Yeah, let's.
infantry. What else? What else? Um, maybe facilities and logistic in itself. Like
Yeah, yeah.
the old logi has issues. Um, uh, yeah.
Yep.
What's
Dodgy MPF facilities. Dude, we need to save the airborne for the last because that's gonna be a huge topic.
I mean, shouldn't we wait for the dev blog and we do airborne first? Actually, after like as a mix between like feedback and reaction to the dev blog.
I think we
Uh,
should do both. I think we should like say what we think will help airborne and then see what actually happens and how that
Yeah,
affects
yeah, yeah,
airborne.
yeah.
I think,
But I mean, yeah, make it one in two parts. But like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
next topic. Next topic is airborne. But we wait for the dev blog to start dropping.
Yep, yep, yep. I agree.
Okay, sounds good then. No, I need to
Whew.
develop that and prepare it.
It's fucking 2 hours of yappage. Holy shit.
I mean, 2 hours of. I mean, it's pretty usual for me, but yeah. Say
It's
bye.
pretty constructive. I think ideally we will like have a lot of people here and we can like
I
bounce
mean,
ideas off each other. That's like
I,
really cool, huh?
based on reception, what I wanted to do next time will be instead of being to a Discord call, just go into the sigil place so people can listen it to live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not exactly interact directly, but yeah, so
Yeah, we
people
have
can at
the
least.
sigil stage thing, right? So we can,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
people do want to interact, we can like raise their hand up and yeah.
yes.
It's a really cool idea. I think it's like really community
Yeah, and
building and stuff.
also since I saw you mention it, we could just invite people in. I mean, Lek would be a mandatory
Jack,
invitation at some
Hyper.
point.
Yep.
Uh,
Lex
I
needs to
I
be here
Hyper,
for.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
It
we need okay. We need Hyper for the schizophrenia, and we need Banana for like actual like different takes. That's
yeah,
like
yeah,
my idea.
no, but what I meant for Hyper is like I fear having a bad a bad word at some point that would ruin the whole the whole Yap session.
Now we have to
Hyper
tell him to
getting
behave.
unleashed middle Yap session. Uh,
We have to
I
tell him to
mean,
behave. But I think he has some points, but you know, most
no,
of his
no.
is
I mean,
unhinged, like playing to our EMGs, but it's funny, you know.
he do have some points. Also, yeah, if we achieve to do that often enough, I would like to find also some wardens. Not especially to discuss about balance, but because
Yeah,
they, due to how the community works, they do have different visions on certain aspects of the game, especially like
absolutely. Like we were
cooperation.
discussing. Yep.
Yeah, so that would be interesting, and also just for party because it's always better. But yeah, okay. Next time that will be airborne, and it will be in like 3 weeks, I think. We might, I mean, yeah, we will see. We'll discuss that.
Yeah, we can just coordinate that on
Yep.
Discord. Just ping me.
Say bye then.
Goodbye. Have fun.
Bye. Until next time.